Bonjour mon petit chiflé, Amber here, and I have 4 stacks of books sitting right next to me. Why, Amber? Because sometimes when I get sad or stressed or anxious or bored, I buy books, you know? I just like to look at them or hold them in my hand. Do I always read the books? No. Does that matter? Also, no. Mind your business. That being said, I did want to share with you the books that I have acquired in the last few months. I know I said that I was going to try to fill my book hauls every month because doing it every 3 months was not working, yet here we are. I haven't done a book haul since March. I've just been collecting books saying, yeah, I'm going to fill my book haul. And now it's July 2nd. Right, I'm going to share my book haul for April, May, and June. To be fair, April and May aren't that bad. But I did a bad thing in June. I did a bad thing. And I don't know if I have regrets. Okay, I'm not gonna talk anymore because I have too many books to get through and I don't want this to be super long. Alright. Let's start with March. April. What? April. April, in case you're wondering, my theme for my bullet journal was dark academia, just for those of you who don't watch my journaling videos, because in April I read only dark academia books. Sorry, there's a gnat flying around, so I'm protecting my coffee. The first book that I acquired in what month did I say this was? April, was The Viscount Who Loved Me by Julia Quinn, which is the second Bridgerton book. Obviously it says it right there. I bought this right when season 2 of Bridgerton came out. I have The Duke and I know that there are issues with Julia Quinn and these books in particular, but I have a project that I'm working on. I say working on as if I started actually working on it, but I have a project that I'm working on that requires me to read these books. Also, I adore the show. I bought this, I don't remember which round of my watch of season 2 I bought this book, but I've watched it 4 times and I'm about to start a 5th soon. Season 2 is my absolute everything. Anthony and Kate are everything to me, so I do want to know how the book compares to the show. I don't even know. I have like a whole couch that's occupied. I don't even know where to put these. Next book I got is a sequel. One of my most anticipated sequels. One of my most anticipated reads. Sequel to one of my favorite books. And it's Favorite Star by Rebecca Roanhorse, which is the sequel to Black Sun, which we all know I absolutely adored. I absolutely adore. I have not read this yet. I am stalling. I'm scared. I don't know when I'm going to read this. Probably at like the end of this year. I have to do a reread of book 1 first. I'm so excited to see where this picks up after book 1 and what Shiala and Serapio are up to, and like what the world that we're in now looks like. I love the world that this is set in. I'm just scared to actually continue. I'm psyching myself out. It's fine. Okay, so the next book that I acquired in whatever month this is, April, was my Fairy Loot. I don't know if it was March, if the March Fairy Loot came late, or if this was my March. No, yeah, this is the April Fairy Loot. I think we got 2 books in that one. The first, they're in storage though, so I'm gonna put the covers here. The first of which is An Arrow to the Moon by Emily X.R. Pam. I don't remember much, but I think that's a like Romeo and Juliet-esque like retelling situation set in China, I believe. I could be wrong, but not in the way that what is that book called? These Violent Delights is. And also Blood Scion by Deborah Fillet. Is that how you pronounce their name? I don't remember much about what this book's about, but the cover's beautiful And I do remember that it was on like my list of books that I was interested in reading this year, or at least buying this year, so I am glad to have it. Okay, next I got Dating Dr. Dill by Nisha Sharma. So far this is the only one that I've read on this list so far. I will say I didn't love this the way I wanted to, or the way everyone else seems to, but I feel like I will read, if this is like I will read more by this author. This is it's sort of like a South Asian American Shakespeare inspired story. This is like a take on The Taming of the Shrew. It follows an attorney and a doctor. She's trying to get by her mother, the house she grew up in, her mother's house, from her father. He'll only give her like the money to do so, to put the down payment on if she gets married, gets engaged. On the flip side is Prem, who is a host of this medical show. He strikes a deal with her aunties that if they end up engaged, that they'll give him the money to open his practice, his building, blah 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 blah. They are both on 2 different pages about love and marriage, and I'm not supposed to be giving you a synopsis, but I wanted to love this more than I did. Like I said, love the cover though, and I am intrigued to see if Nisha will do more. I don't know, I don't remember if there's more coming from like these Shakespeare-y books, but I am a Shakespeare girly, so I'm gonna pick it up regardless. Speaking of romance, the next book that I got, I think I got these at the same, did I get these the same day? I don't remember. In the Weeds by B.K. Borison. Never heard of this author. I think I saw somehow this book cover ended up on my timeline on Twitter, so of course I did a little investigating and I was very intrigued. There's a farm involved, a hop farmer, and there are cats. Is it cats or goats? 4 very cute kittens. I like to think of myself as a farm girl, a wannabe farm girl, and the thought of a hop farmer, and she's an influencer, so like it's me. In my head it's me. I know there's like another book in this like little series. I think it takes place at Christmas. I might have to pick it up in December. It looks, the cover's cute. This author has very cute covers. Then the last book that I bought, or got, because I pre-ordered it, it just showed up in April, was another one of my most anticipated reads. Another one I'm kind of putting off installing on. Not really, it just hasn't fit into my themed reading so far. So this is another one I might read in like December or the end of the year, or it might be one of my first reads of 2023. It's Kaikeyi by Vaishnavi Patel. This book, first of all, this cover is stunning. This cover is gorgeous. This is beautiful. So this is I believe it's like a retelling of, the Ramayana through like this I'm not very familiar with the story. I've just heard like a vague telling of the story. It's like in the vein of the Circes, the Ariadnes, the women focused version of like these epic stories, you know? So I am excited to finally pick this up eventually and dive in. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous gowns. I don't know why I said that. Okay, I gotta figure out where to put these. Please don't fall. I don't want to put it on the floor, and I also don't want to get up. I'll put it here. Okay, so let's move on to May. That wasn't that bad. That pile was not bad at all. This one's also not that bad, honestly. So the first book that I got in May, the first 2 books that I got in May were both from Book of the Month. I chose 2 books for May, the first of which is The Hacienda by Isabel Cañas. This one is kind of like I think it's like a gothic horror set in Mexico. I don't know much, but it kind of has been compared to what is that book called? Rebecca and Mexican Gothic. I think I started reading with Rebecca a long time ago. I also haven't read Mexican Gothic, but like I've heard amazing things about Mexican Gothic by Sylvia Sylvia Moreno Garcia. So I plan on reading this in October for like one of my spooky reads. I might take this one with me when I'm in Alaska. I'm gonna be in Alaska for like the first almost 2 weeks of October, so I might take this one. So the other one is Take My Hand by Dolan Perkins Valdez. I don't know a ton of this one, but this takes place in Montgomery, Alabama in 1973. I love this cover. It follows like a young black nurse in like post-segregation Alabama. That's really all I needed to know to pique my interest. So I will keep you updated on this book. So the next book that I got in May is actually my book club. Did I mention that I started a book club? Hey, I started a book club. This is our first month of like book clubbing, but the next book is our book pick for August. And if you're interested, all the stuff's down below. Maybe it's melanin. The book is If I Had Your Face by Frances Cha. I love this cover. I cannot get over this cover. This is a lot shorter than I thought it was going to be, which is great for book club reading, honestly. I don't know too much, but it follows, I believe, 4 different women in Seoul. It says, together their stories tell a gripping tale, at once unfamiliar and unmistakably universal, in which their tentative friendships may turn out to be the thing that ultimately saves them. So I am excited to read this with the club and talk about it. I hope I love it as much as I think I will. The next one I bought because I was kind of hitting a sort of slump in May and I wanted to read a romance, specifically a romance by an Asian author, because I was reading for AAPI Heritage Month. So I picked up Happy Endings by Tien Kim Lam. This one also, just randomly, the cover was just on my timeline. I think someone was making a list of romance books by Asian authors. So this mixed with the premise sounded really intriguing. The main character of this book is a sex toy sales rep and trying to open her own business, and she basically has to team up with her ex, who broke up with her via post-it note, to be able to bring in customers to start her business and save his mom's restaurant, his family restaurant, which he and his sister are running now. And I wanted to love this book. Oh my god, I wanted to love this book. I didn't. Oh no, I really didn't. I mean, the spicy bits were a spicin', but aside from that, I hated it. Hate's a strong word. It just didn't do what it needed to do. And I'm sad. I'm sad, but the cover's cute. What was next? And then Penguin Teen sent me The Arc of Beasts of Ruin, which is the sequel of Beasts of Prey with the new covers by Ayana Gray, who I met at what is that place called? What's the book festival I went to in November? Oh, my brain is blanking. I keep wanting to say BookCon and BookNet Fest. It's neither of those. Y'all Fest. Jesus. I met her at Y'all Fest in November. Very sweet, very lovely. I still haven't read Beasts of Prey. I feel like I'm failing. And now I think I have 3 copies of Beasts of Prey now. Because I have my original, no. Because don't I have a couple special editions? I have a lot of copies. Because I have my original. I bought one at Y'all Fest to get signed. Anyway, I got Beasts of Ruin. I might read Beasts of Prey this year. Well, this month. Because I was invited to take part in the Beasts of Prey read-along in preparation for the release of this book by Penguin Teen. And we'll talk about that later in this video. It's going to come up again. And the last two books that I got in May are some of the prettiest things I've ever had. I've been waiting for them for so long, and they finally showed up, and I had to fight for my life to get these books before they sent them back to Europe. I had to jump through hoops. And it's my Illumicrate editions of We Hunt the Flame and We Free the Stars. Look how stunning. Briefly, we have my girl, I did a proper like unboxing situation on TikTok, but here's my girl. We have Zafira on the front and we have Nasir on the back, looking all broody and beautiful and all that. Just quickly, just give you a quick rundown. And then we have this on the inside. Gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. And then we have We Free the Stars. We have Nafira on the front, and then we have my love Altair on the back. This is what this looks like. And you know, y'all know I collect like these books, the We Hunt the Sands of Araria duology. Anytime there's a new edition, I'm gonna get it. So if you ever have an edition of these books that you don't want, check in with me to see if I have it already. Most likely I do, but I'd still like the original arc. I think that's the only one that I don't have, aside from like the painted copies on Etsy or whatever, which I would love to have one of those one day, but I can't wait to move and have my We Hunt the Flame shelf. At this point it might be shelves. Okay, so that's May. Not bad, right? Let's get into June. Let's get into June. Let's get into June. And things are about to take a turn. Okay, so I want to preface this. On June 1st, I went to the bookstore. I went to the bookstore for one singular book. And I did not leave with one book. So here we are. Honestly, most of the damage, most of this list comes from that one shopping event, is what I'm going to call it. On the 1st of June, I started off in a bad place. So, first and foremost, I bought all 3 Emily Henry books. Technically, I think they all came on the same day. I ordered this one from Target. And no, vice versa. I ordered these 2 from Target. No. Oh my god, I can't remember. I ordered these 2 from Target, or I ordered one of them. I ordered this one from Target. I can't remember. One of these books came from Target, and then I got the other ones from Barnes & Noble. It doesn't matter. I got all 3 Emily Henry books. Beach Read, People We Meet on Vacation, and Book Lovers. And before the summer's over, I'm planning to go to the beach and just read all 3 of these books. That's my plan. I don't know how I'm gonna pull it off, but I refuse to read these books in gloomy Pennsylvania. Okay, so the next book I got on this same trip is the September pick for Maybe It's Selling, my book club, and it's the Las Cantista by Dana Barba Iguera. Isn't this stunning? Isn't this beautiful? Oh my goodness gracious. All right, Joey Graceffa. Absolutely beautiful. I struggled to get this book because originally I ordered it online. I ordered it from Amazon, and then it was supposed to come like in like 2 days, but then it was like, I'm just not gonna get here till like the end of July, and I'm like, no, was it July? Yeah, end of July. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So I canceled the order because they kept pushing the date back, and I needed to have the book so I could post the announcement, right? So there are multiple Barnes & Noble in the area, and it wasn't happening. So finally I was able to go into Center City, and it was there, and I'm very thankful. This book is quite heavy. It's heavier than I thought it was going to be. Also, I keep forgetting to show off this part when I talk about the book. Isn't that pretty? So she's sturdy. I'm excited to get into this in September. You still have time to join the book club. Okay, I also picked up from this Fun Little Excursion, Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky. I've heard nothing but amazing things about this book. I actually got a copy for me and a copy for my little cousin. Since finding out that he likes to read, I like to provide him with the materials, and he's liked everything I've picked out for him so far. So I'm thinking maybe we'll read this together. I'm also honestly trying to provide him with enough quality books that he doesn't ever have to what? Have to think about picking up Harry Potter. I'm just gonna be real with you. So maybe I'm gonna buddy read this with my 12-year-old cousin. We'll see. I meant to give it to him when we went to go see Jurassic Park, but I forgot. So maybe, whatever, he'll get it. The next book, oh, I skipped one actually because it's not here, it's in storage. This one is another one I'm excited to read in October for spooky season, and it's Horseman by Christina Henry. Apparently Christina Henry wrote the Alice in Wonderland retelling. This one is a Sleepy Hollow retelling, and if you know me, I love all things Sleepy Hollow. I have a Sleepy Hollow candle in my shop. Let me not say that because I don't know if it's in stock, but I make a Sleepy Hollow candle for my shop. I think I was burning it recently. Did I finish it? I don't remember. It's one of my faves actually. I love all things Sleepy Hollow. Eventually I do want to visit Sleepy Hollow, New York. And so when I saw the cover, first of all, did I say what the book's called? Horseman? I did say that. When I saw the cover, I was like, I'm listening. So I don't remember much about what it's about, but it obviously involves the Headless Horseman. And I think it follows like the descendants of Brahm or whatever, like the town kids, like how many years later, Ben Barnes is on my TV, play like this game involving like the horsemen or whatever, but like the events start happening again, something like that. But I'm very intrigued, I'm very excited, I hope it's good. Okay, so next, I've been saying forever I want to like finally get to this series. I picked up Desperate Measures by Katie Robert, which is the first in the Wicked Villains series, which is like a erotica romance series following Disney pairings, but it's usually like one of the characters and one of the villains. This one follows Jafar and Jasmine. y'all. Okay, so I knew it was going to be something else because I've read, the only other Katie Robert I've read is I never remember what the series is called, but with the one that with like Theirs for the Night, that series, I think it's a trilogy, I don't remember. So I knew what she was capable of. And of the series, Jafar and Jasmine's like the pairing I think I'm most invested in. I love Aladdin. Jasmine's my favorite princess, and just all I'm gonna say about this book is Jafar is hot. Like, obviously there's some stuff going on, but once you get past that, it's like a dark romance. So like, I have the ebook for the next one, which is Learn My Lesson, which is Hades and Meg. Also invested. I love Meg. We got the hot girlies of Disney first and foremost, but I'm also intrigued by book 3. I have that ebook, but I want the physical. I want to read them all physically. Maybe, I don't know, I just want to own them all physically. Book 3 is Hook and Tink, and every time I hear like Hook, obviously I think Colin O'Donoghue. Obviously I think Once Upon a Time. Pretend to Be Shocked. I have 2 Once tattoos. It's my favorite show. Also, Colin O'Donoghue is beautiful. He's beautiful in person too. That man's eyes, like in person, Jesus, be offense. What was I talking about? Let's move on. Let's move on from this. So finally, the next 2 books are both sequels. Well, yeah, continuations of series that I've been meaning to pick up all year. The first one is The Righteous by Renee Ahdieh, which is the third in the Beautiful series. I finally read The Damned earlier this year in January, and so I can finally move on. I have the Fairy Loot edition of this book, but I'm not going to read the Fairy Loot edition, so I finally have a copy of this. I'm excited to continue this series finally. I've been loving it. We know I love Renee. I have not met a Renee Ahdieh book that I didn't love so far, or didn't at least like. Like, I have my rankings, but I'm still gonna be like right here with Renee, you know? I love the series. I really feel like vampires are, we've been saying this, but they're really making their comeback, and I'm here for it. I think I'm getting more into vampires than I was in the past, or at least the concept, and absolutely. And then we have Kingdom of the Curse by Carrie Maniscalco, which is the sequel to Kingdom of the Wicked, and I really need to read this before the 3rd one comes out. I'm forever pissed that I didn't get the Fairy Loot special edition, because I have the special edition of the first one. So once again, if you have a special edition of this book and you don't want it, I'm right here. I'm right here. I'm right here. I had fun with the first book. It was more of just like a vibes book for me, you know, the book that you're just kind of here for the vibe, you're here for the aesthetic, you're here for wrath, and I am curious to see where this goes next. Okay, let's go into stack number 2 for June. Let's make sure I didn't skip anything else. Okay, I was about to, because the next book is also in storage because I haven't even read the first one yet, and it's the final of the series, and it's Burning God by R.F. Kuang, which is the final book in the Poppy Wars series. I've not read the first one. I have the first one, and I plan to read it soon. But I found that book, and it was like 60% off at Barnes & Noble, and it was the only one in the clearance section. So I wasn't really going to leave Barnes & Noble without the book when like the normal price of the book is like almost $30, right? What logic is that? So I just need to get the second one, and then I'll have the full trilogy. So I have it. It's in storage for whenever I start the series. What a blessing. I have 2 copies of the same book. Yeah, and they're both The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah. My first copy that I have is the Fairy Loot edition. I got them days apart. Did not know this was going to be the Fairy Loot. I love this one because the color scheme is like a purple color scheme. We know I love purple. The sprayed edges. We have the art on the inside. I like that they're doing the art on the actual pages now, or the end papers now, because I'm not always going to be willing to like turn my cover inside out to look at the art or to appreciate the art. So here's some more art. And then I also have the Book of the Month edition, which is probably going to be the one that I read eventually. I'm excited to get into this. I need more adult fantasy in my life, and I am always loving to support authors of color. Also, with this most recent Book of the Month, with Book of the Month, I finally qualified for the Book of the Month tote bag. I feel legit now. I feel official. I love that it has a book pocket in the front. It's very sturdy, and I can't wait to use it all the time. So I'm excited. What did I get next? All right, so Kingdom of the Curse, by the way, was the last book that I got from the Barnes & Noble excursion. So that's what? I'm gonna 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 8 or 9 books in one shopping adventure. Go ahead, girl. Anyway, so I also recently got You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hogel, and I'm gonna be honest, my friend Ramila has single-handedly convinced me to get this book. She raves over this book, has read it multiple times. It's all the tabs. So we usually have similar tastes in books. So my interest is piqued. I don't even really know what this is about. I think it's like a second chance romance or something like that. Okay, so the couple in this, the pairing, are engaged, but I think it's like a engagement, I don't know, of convenience or something. I'm not sure, but I'm very, very interested to see why Ramila loves it so much. And if she loves it, I'm probably going to love it because we have a lot of favorite books in common. So I trust her opinion wholeheartely. Next, I finally got my Spark Within the Forge box from Fae Crate. I would show you my Laya plushie, but she's all the way over there. So this is a Ember in the Ashes graphic novel, like prequel graphic novel. I have the first one. It was gifted to me by my friend Ash. Was this pre-pandemic? I don't remember, but that one followed, was it Elias and Helene and some other dude when they were in training for becoming masks? This one, I believe, follows Laya and Darren. This is like, it apparently follows when Darren meets the swordsmith guy. Yeah, we know I love movie. Hopefully that doesn't have any spoilery things going on. I love this world. I love the Ember and the Ashes series. I love Saba's writing. I don't have All My Rage yet, and that feels like a crime. We know I sometimes get packages from Honey Magnolia Co., like that PR company, and they sent me 2 arcs recently, and the first one is Happiest on Hiatus by A.C. Arthur. This comes out this month. Don't know too much. The main character, I think I just saw her husband has an affair, and there's something about her cousins. I don't know, but who knows, I might pick it up this month very soon. And then I also have Heated by Naima Simone. Also don't really know. Oh, this one sounds really intriguing because I know one of the characters is an unmatchmaker, so they help people break up with people, and the love interest is like the last person who received one of the breakup letters. So that concept sounds really, really intriguing. This comes out on July 5th. Does it have the exact date on the back for this one? This one just says July 2022. So I will keep you updated on both of those books to see what I think about them. Last but not least, I have 3 more books to talk about. So the next 2 both came in my June Fairy Loot. The first is this Twin Crowns by, it looks like 2 authors, Catherine Doyle and Catherine Weber. One's with a C and one's with a K. I don't know anything about this book, but this is beautiful. We got another purple book. I love this. Oh, and papers. So we have, I wonder if they've written it where each author writes it. I don't know. I'm assuming Twin Crowns, I'm assuming there are siblings involved, twins, and I wonder if each author wrote from a different point of view. I think that's how I would approach it if I were going to like write a book with someone else. And then we have the Fairy Loot edition of This Vicious Grace by Emily Thied. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, I'm sorry. This is a very bright book. We got some lemon yellow going on. And when I took it out of the book, I was like, I've never heard of this. I don't know. Oh, there are lemons here, so I'm assuming that there are lemons involved in this book. I was like, I don't know if I've ever heard of this. That's a lie. I looked up the actual cover of the book and realized that was one of my most anticipated. This is nice. One of my most anticipated reads, or at least one that I was quite intrigued by. They just altered the cover to the point that I couldn't recognize it. And it says 3 weddings, 3 funerals, 1 more chance to save them all. And I think, all I know is that I think that the main character, her touch is like kills any suitor. That's all I know. I think there's an island involved. And then the last book, I mentioned earlier that Penguin Teen sent me Beasts of Ruin, the arc for that, but they also just recently sent me the paperback, the matching paperback for Beasts of Prey. I briefly mentioned they're doing a read-along for Beasts of Prey this month as a lead up to Beasts of Ruin, and they sent me a copy so I could participate. Also, it's nice to have a matching set of the new covers. I'm very grateful for that, and so I'm gonna see if I'm hopefully gonna be able to re-add this to my TBR. So those are, let me do a quick count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 32? Is it 32? Because I know I had like 30 that were in storage. Like 32 books that I've acquired between between April and June. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know any new books you have gotten recently that you're excited about. If you like me, feel free to subscribe. All my places are down below so you can follow me and I'll follow you back, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.